What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another War Within video. Hope you're all doing very well. We're going to talk about Holy Paladin heading into Season 3, and I'm going to tell you the two different builds that I think are going to be viable for Holy Paladin, regardless of whatever kind of content you're doing, whether you're doing Raid or Mythic Plus or even sort of more casual stuff like the Delves. These two builds are going to work well for you. Been definitely a lot of changes for Holy Paladin moving into Season 3. Starting off with the talent tree, there have been a couple of new talents that have been added, things like Pillars of Light, which I don't think you're ever going to take this, but it's here. Interacting with your Beacon of Light. It just isn't strong enough yet. I think if they buffed it by a little bit, it could be, conceivably it could work. And they shuffled some talents around. Power of the Silver Hand is over here. Here's Deliverance connects with Boundless Salvation like before, but then Truth Prevails is over here. That's the Judgment talent, used to be over here where Pillars is now. So nothing really too crazy, but there's been a lot of shuffling. In terms of what talents I think you're going to want to take, I think you're going to be dropping the Light of the Martyr Holy Shock talents and instead taking Flash of Light talents now, if you weren't already before. You might have already been doing that before, but you're definitely going to do it now because there's been a massive change to infusion. I talked about this in a previous video, but I will cover it quickly here. Mostly we're looking at Flash of Light. Flash of Light has been dramatically buffed inside your infusion procs, and you get your infusion procs very rarely now. It's like it has a 10% chance from your Holy Shock to get it. It used to be that every time your Holy Shock crit, you would get an infusion proc. Now it's just based on your Holy Shock, but there's other ways to get infusion procs, which is really, really nice, both with Lightsmith in particular, but also with Herald. And when you do get the proc, your Flash of Light will now heal for 200% more, and it becomes instant cast, which is really the big deal. So you're definitely going to want to take Power of Radiance and Moment of Compassion. These are massive spells for you now because, or talents, sorry, because it's going to further buff your Flash of Light, and it makes Flash of Light a real monster of a spell now. So you can see on my details here, I've got Flash of Lights hitting for like 2.5 million, almost 5 million if they crit. That's a lot of health, right? That's half of somebody's health, basically. It'll be a little bit less, but that's what we're looking at. So big adjustments to your middle of the section talents, I would say. No more Light of the Martyr stuff, more into the Flash of Light bonuses. And I think you're going to want to take every other talent that buffs Flash of Light, including things like Selfless Healer, which is very, very good. I don't think you need Divine Favor, but I do think you want Divine Revelations for sure to get the extra buff. Yeah. Let's move on to Lightsmith. How is Lightsmith going to work? This is the first build I want to talk about. You're definitely... There's two ways to play this. You could play Melee Wings, but after a lot of discussion with some of the people in the community, especially like Ellesmere, I talked to him about this on one of my streams. He thinks that Avenging Crusader is just weaker than Avenging Wrath when it comes to Lightsmith. Now, it's going to be up to you. I think depending on the content, Avenging Crusader could have its place for sure. And you're going to be missing a little bit of that Hammer and Anvil healing, because remember the tier set bonus for Lightsmith basically doubles down on our Hammer and Anvil healing. So not only are we going to get it from our Judgment casts, but our Crusader strikes are going to give it to us as well. That's where Avenging Crusader really kicks in. But I think Avenging Wrath will have a much bigger place in the Lightsmith build because, as I just finished talking about with Flash of Light, you get free Flash of Light procs basically from your armaments. So as you throw your armaments out, when they fade away in about 15 seconds, you're going to see I'm going to get a free infusion proc in about 15 seconds here, and you'll see it on my screen here. So these free infusion procs are giving you big Flash of Lights, okay? And again, the Flash of Light, right now my Flash of Light hits for 300k. Now my Flash of Light hits for 950k with infusion. If I put Beacon on people and then I press Flash of Light, it hits for even more, okay? And you can see I'm getting multiple infusion procs here, and you will continue to get multiple infusion procs as the fight goes on if you're playing Lightsmith. It's a core part of how Lightsmith works now. So this is an awesome change, and it means that you don't really have to rely on Melee Wings as much anymore. There's a big infusion proc right there. I'll cast a couple of, there's a 6 mil Flash of Light. you really just don't have to rely on melee wings as much anymore. And I think realistically, you could sort of end up doing what we could call a bit of a caster build, where you're throwing Judgment, you're throwing Hammer of Wrath. Those are both ranged abilities. You've got your Holy Shocks, your Divine Toll, your Prism, right? Those are all ranged attacks. And now you have these instant Flash of Lights, where I can throw them from range instantly, and they're a very cheap, efficient spell. Very, very cheap, very efficient. So it's good. I think that Lightsmith is going to take on a bit of a different flavor. It's going to have a bit of a, you see Flash of Light hitting really hard here, 6 mil, right? There's our Hammer and Anvil healing as well. Very, very good. I think Lightsmith could end up taking on a bit of a different flavor moving from season 2 to season 3, where you're taking Avenging Wrath and you're focusing a lot more on Flash of Light, because you're getting guaranteed infusion procs, which are buffing your Flash of Light, and it's such a powerhouse of a spell now. So focusing a little bit less on that combat, on just going into melee wings and having that be like really your only super source of power. I think you now have multiple sources of power because Flash of Light is so freaking strong within this talent tree, because you're getting the guaranteed proc. So that's the first build right there. I will link both the builds down below, don't worry. The second build is going to be a Herald of the Sun build, of course, and I think the vast majority of Holy Paladins who are on the PTR and were testing things before this season went live, they would tell you that Herald of the Sun was definitely better than Lightsmith, especially in the raid scenario. That's because Dawnlight has been buffed a pretty substantial amount over a couple of patch notes, and then Second Sunrise got dramatically buffed, and this is really cool now. So Second Sunrise used to have a 30% chance for your Light of Dawn and Holy Shock to strike again, essentially. Or was it 15 or 20? I forget what the actual percentage was. It was a low percent. It was like 15% chance to have your Holy Shock and Light of Dawn cast again at 30% effectiveness. I think that's what it was. So now it's, of course, Light of Dawn and Holy Shock always cast again at 15% effectiveness. So this is very cool, because it now means that your Light of Dawn can become a much more substantial part of your healing. And that also means that Sunseer will get much more value, because it's basically been a dead talent for like 2 seasons in a row, which is really sad. But you're going to see here now, I'm going to cast Light of Dawn, and it's going to go off like 100 times in a row. And we got an infusion proc there as well. You do get some infusion procs from the Herald build, especially because your Holy Shock is striking twice now, and that gives you a second chance of proccing your infusion, which is really, really nice. So again, you're not getting as many as with the Lightsmith build, but it's still something that you can get, which is really, really cool. There's some from Divine Toll. There's our infusion procs. Spend those on Flash of Light, generate some holy power, do a double Light of Dawn, another double Light of Dawn. You can see how this kind of goes, right? Like, there's a lot of value there. We'll do one more beacon here. Oops. Like this, and then get our Dawn lights out. Your double Light of Dawn does not immediately apply to Dawn lights. You still have to do another, like the extra free cast of Light of Dawn does not do a Dawn light for you, just to make sure everybody understands how that works. And it also, your second Light of Dawn that goes out for free does not contribute to Awakening, which is a little bit sad, but those interactions would have probably been completely and utterly busted. But you can see, I'm just standing back here casting Light of Dawn. We're just chilling. It's very, very fun. And in a raid setting, I think this is going to be very valuable. You're going to have a lot of healing, especially for the melee bros who are up there with you. But Light of Dawn is going to be a powerhouse of a spell, and it's also going to make Sunseer, again, Sunseer is going to hit really hard, in my opinion. You can see Sunseer is doing 9% of my healing right there. 9%. Like, Sunseer used to do like 2% or 1%, because you had very little applications of it, unless you were pressing Light of Dawn, which just didn't happen that much. But now, because you're getting a guaranteed second cast of Light of Dawn, it's giving you much higher chances to apply Sunseers to your allies, which is really, really great. So this is pretty cool. Dawn lights are buffed, Sunseer is buffed, Second Sunrise is buffed, giving you this guaranteed chance, and it kind of completely changes how you want to play the build, especially in raid with Light of Dawns. I think it's going to be really valuable. I still think you're going to run a setup similar to this. You could probably drop Glorious Dawn if you wanted to, and grab like Relentless Inquisitor is going to be very, very good in the early part of season 3, where you maybe don't have a maxed out haste yet, or whatever the case might be. Relentless is a really good talent point. You could take Truth Prevails to save some mana. I still think Tears Deliverance is a dead spell. And now that Relentless Inquisitor is not hiding behind Tears Deliverance, I think that you're never going to take Tears Deliverance basically ever again. Unfortunately, Power of the Silver Hand is also kind of buried in the bottom right here now, behind Tears Deliverance and behind the Light of the Martyr Talons, which I don't think you're going to end up taking anymore, because you're going to end up taking Moment of Compassion, the Flash of Light spells over here. So yeah, I think this is a really, really good build right here. And again, Herald of the Sun has just really received a couple of buffs, some pretty good buffs to Sunseer and Second Sunrise. Sunseer's kind of indirectly getting buffed because of how many Light of Dawns are going to be going off for you. So very exciting, very cool. Both these builds are super powerful, and I've tried them both, and they both work very, very well. So yeah, there's going to be options, in my opinion, for Holy Paladin. I do think potentially Melee Wings is going to be left in the dust in this season. I'm going to have to do a lot more testing once the season really begins in earnest. On Tuesday, I'm going to be trying both the builds out and just see if Avenging Crusader can actually hold its own still. It might be able to, obviously, with Lightsmith getting the big hammer and anvil healing as well, which did get buffed on this patch again as well. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I think it's a really good season for Holy Paladin. If you're thinking of playing Holy Paladin, you should be excited about this season, because it's here and it's going to be strong. Both hero trees will be strong with both of the tier set bonuses that apply to each one of those hero trees. Going to be very, very good for you in season 3. Okay, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. Love y'all. See you in the next one.